So this evening we'll chant from chapter 7 of the Gita, verses 1 through 10, chapter 7. So this evening we'll continue with the Bhagavad Gita on chapter 7. Last time we went up through verse 5. And so I'll begin again on 5 because 5 and 6 are connected. And the following verses are dependent on those two. So again, this is the chapter called Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nama Saptamodhyayaha, the 7th chapter, entitled Knowledge and Realization. And so in the first verse, Sri Krishna had said, introducing the topic, O Partha, hear how you, whose mind is fixed on me and who have taken refuge in me, will know me without doubt and in full by practicing yoga. So again, remember that last time I explained that according to Madhusudana, the first 6 chapters deal with the jiva. The next, who I am, my self-knowledge, not with the jiva as a jiva, but the truth about the jiva, that the jiva is not an individual soul at all, but the infinite reality. And the next 6 chapters, starting with this 7th, deal with Bhagavan, with God. And the last 6 chapters deal with the relationship between the two. And so he says that it equates to Tattvamasi. The first 6 chapters deal with Tvam, who you are. The next 6 chapters, starting here, deals with Tat, that is, with God, what that means. When you say that thou art that, who are you and what is that? That you're making an equation between. And so here he deals with the nature of the Supreme Lord, with God. And so though in chapter 4, the Sri Krishna talks some about himself in a few verses, most of the first 6 chapters again deal with the state of enlightenment and the knowledge of oneself and how to attain to that. But here he introduces the subject right away in the first verse of the 7th chapter, that hear how you, whose mind is fixed on me, Maya Sakta Manah Partha, your mind who is attached to me, fixed on me. Asamshayam samagram mam yatha tachrinu. Listen how, tachrinu, how you will know me, asamshayam, without any doubt. Samagram mam, the whole of me, how you will understand me, how you will know me in my entirety by practicing yoga. Yunjan, yogam yunjan, practicing yoga. So Partha, hear how you, whose mind is fixed on me and who have taken refuge in me, will know me without doubt and in full by practicing yoga. So here, instead of talking about know that you are the deathless, you are the birthless, you are the infinite spirit, speaking in the 6th chapter about yoga, how to focus the mind so that you know yourself in full. Here he says, you will know me, I as Bhagavan. And so in the 5th verse, which we did last time, he says, Apareyamitas tvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mohabhaho yayedam dharyate jagat. So, O mighty armed one, this is the inferior prakriti, apara prakriti. This is the inferior prakriti. Know the prakriti of mind, which, however, is different from this. Oh, I should go back to, I should go back to verse 4, because there he tells what this inferior prakriti is. He says, Bhumirapo nalo bhayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yam me bhinna prakritirashtadha. So my 8-fold prakriti, ashtadha prakriti, my prakriti, which is made of 8 parts, is made of bhumi, apa, anala, vayu, and kam. That is the 5 traditional elements of earth, water, fire, air, and space. These are the 5 elements that he mentions out of the the eightfold prakriti of mind. There are 5 elements plus mind, buddhi, and ahamkara. The manas, the lower mind, the buddhi, the highest part of the mind, the intuitive faculty, and the ahamkara, the I maker, the what we often translate as ego, but it really makes the I. It really means the I maker, and it's not exactly equivalent to the ego. The original meaning of ego in Western psychology, the meaning that Freud first gave to ego, was its Latin root meaning, which is I am. And that is really the best term for, that is the best use of the word ego, that within me which says I am. But then later Freud, because of his discoveries about the mind and the unconscious and the complexes and neuroses and all of that, then the ego he made much more complicated. It would have been better to use another term for the complications and keep ego meaning the sense of I am, because that's what ego, the root meaning of ego. And so in Indian psychology, Vedantic and yoga psychology, Sankhya psychology also, the ahamkara doesn't apply to Freud's ego, and it also doesn't apply to the sense of I am. It's the I maker. It means it takes that sense of I am, which belongs to consciousness, belongs to the jiva itself as consciousness, as reflected individualized consciousness, that which says, that which has the sense of I am. It takes that and applies it where it doesn't belong. The ahamkara takes the sense of I am and sticks it onto the body. This is me. Sticks it onto the mind, manas, buddhi, chitta, and says, this is me. Onto my thoughts and says, I am my thoughts. If I'm depressed, it says, oh, I am depressed. If I'm happy, it says, I am happy. So it takes that pure sense of I am, which has no relation to anything in the world, which is just pure consciousness, and sticks it where it doesn't belong, and says, this is my book, don't touch my book. This is my room, get out of my room. This is my house, get out of my house, and so forth. So that's the ahamkara, that which takes that sense of I am and sticks it on all sorts of external things with the sense of identity and ownership. I and mine. And so, as I explained last time, he mentions here manas, buddhi, and ahamkara. But there's a fourth part of the mind, the chitta. But that we can assume is just understood by mentioning these 3 functions of the mind. The 3 major functions of the mind that we are aware of are the manas, buddhi, and ahamkara. As I also explained last time on this verse, Shankaracharya, Madhusudanacharya, Sridharacharya, and other acharyas, they were concerned that if Sri Krishna is talking about his eightfold prakriti, he must be talking about the whole of his prakriti. So they go to great lengths to explain that here manas doesn't really mean manas, it means this. Ahamkara doesn't really mean ahamkara, it means the buddhi, and therefore the buddhi doesn't really mean the buddhi, but it means something else. So in order to cover the whole ground of prakriti, but that's not necessary. It's much more straightforward to understand that Sri Krishna was teaching Arjuna about the things that Arjuna was, that were within the experience of Arjuna. Arjuna wasn't someone who had experienced the avyakta or prakriti, mula prakriti, the root state of prakriti. He was just saying that within your experience, my prakriti has 8 aspects, the 5 elements, which go to make up the mind and the sense organs and all of external nature, and the mind, the buddhi, and the ahamkara. And so this my eightfold prakriti, which is within your experience right now. So again, we don't need to, Sri Krishna wasn't giving Arjuna a lesson in Sankhya philosophy. And so we don't have to bring all 24 cosmic principles under this eightfold Prakriti. Just understand it as he said it. So he tells him that this is my eightfold prakriti, these the three parts of the mind, which the chitta is the mind stuff. And so that's understood. When you mention the manas, the buddhi and ahamkara, the chitta is understood. And so this, my eightfold prakriti, and then he goes on to say in 5, O mighty armed one, this is the inferior, apara prakriti. This is the inferior prakriti. Know the prakriti of mind, which, however, is different from this, and which is higher. Parataram, the higher prakriti than this one, which has taken the form of the individual soul, the jiva, and by which this world is held together. So as I explained last time, the lower prakriti, which he's talking about, he later talks about in chapter 13, I believe it is. He talks about the kshatra and kshatrajna, the field and the knower of the field. This lower prakriti is the field, that is that which we know as the objective universe, including my mind, ahamkara, and buddhi. All of that, I as the jiva, as the conscious center, as the conscious soul, I can see my thoughts. So the thoughts are objects, and therefore they are part of lower prakriti. I can see the functioning of my ahamkara, so that also is part of lower prakriti. I can see the functioning of my buddhi, that's part of lower prakriti. And of course, the 5 elements which go to make up this universe, that's part of lower prakriti. All of that is objective. But my higher prakriti, he says, which is different from this, which has taken the form of the jiva. And what is the jiva? Here he's referring to the jiva as the individualized consciousness. That within me which says I am and I know. I am and I know. But without any other qualification whatsoever. Just I am and I know. I'm not a man or a woman. I'm not young or old. I had no birth and no death. I'm not a student or a teacher. I'm not a sannyasi or a householder. I'm not man or woman. Just I am. And I know that I am. So that center of the very core of my being, which is as the light of experience which illumines this body and mind and the external world. That is the jiva, the individualized consciousness. So this, he says, is my higher prakriti. Sri Krishna says, my higher prakriti, jiva bhutam, which has become the jiva. Me param, my higher prakriti. Yaya idam jagat dharyate, by which this world is held together. How is that? This world is, as Madhusudana in his commentary beautifully says, he says that this world wants to fall apart. This world wants to disperse into individual parts. It's consciousness in which this world rests, and it's consciousness which holds the world together. It's consciousness alone which contains the universe. And so this consciousness, which is my higher prakriti, which is in the heart of every being, which is the reality of every being, which is the center, which is the essence of every being, that is my higher nature. Everything else is mine also, but that's my lower nature, because it's object, it's therefore material. Not material in the modern scientific sense. And prakriti doesn't mean nature in the modern scientific sense. In the Western words for nature, in English nature, and in other Western languages, similar words, other words for the same concept, nature means everything which is not touched by human beings. But no, we're part of nature too. We didn't get dropped from another universe into this natural universe. We're part of the whole system, and our minds are part of the whole system. So we're part of nature also. And so nature in Vedanta and in Sankhya and in yoga. Nature means that which is known by consciousness. Anything which can be seen as an object by consciousness is nature. So this is nature, that's nature, all of this is nature. This is nature because I can see it, I can experience it. Even if my eyes are closed, I feel it. My mind is nature because I can see my mind. I can watch the operations of my mind. Even the ego is, or even the ahamkara is part of nature, because that also eventually, through deep meditation, I can see it as an object. And so everything that can be objectified is part of Prakriti. And that is, according to Vedanta, Sankhya, and Yoga, that is matter. Anything that is part of Prakriti is material. Even the pure gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. When everything in the universe is resolved back into its causes, it goes back into the state of the three gunas. And so even those are material. Not matter in the sense of the periodic table of chemical elements, matter in the sense that they are objects of consciousness, objects of awareness. And so, Almighty Armed One, this is the inferior Prakriti, the five elements plus the mind. Know the Prakriti of mind, which, however, is different from this, different from the five elements, different from the mind, which is higher, which has taken the form of the individual soul, the jiva, and by which this universe is held together. Yayedam dharyate jagat. And so then in 6 he says, Etad yonini bhutani sarvani ityupadharaya aham kritsnasya jagata prabhava pralayasthatha. So etad yonini bhutani. Sarvani bhutani. All beings have this as their source. Etad yonini. This is their yoni. This is the source of all beings. That is Prakriti. Or these two, my lower Prakriti and higher Prakriti together. That is the conscious element, the jiva, joined with Prakriti, that which is object to consciousness, seen by consciousness, experienced by consciousness. These two are the source of all beings. Sarvani bhutani, upadharya, know these as the source of all beings. Aham krishnasya jagata prabhava pralaya statha. I am the prabhava, the origin, and the pralaya, the dissolution, krishnasya jagata, of the whole universe. I'm the beginning and the end of the whole universe. Out of me the universe is born. Into me the universe dissolves. So know it for certain that all things, sentient and insentient, have these two as their source. My ashtadha prakriti, my eightfold prakriti, material prakriti, and the jiva. I am the origin as also the end of the whole universe. So this whole universe has come out of the divine being. Now there's an important point to recognize, that in the Abrahamic traditions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, in those three traditions, God is primarily the creator. Not primarily, God is God. God is the infinite divine being primarily. But the most important function of God is as creator. And God creates the universe, and God creates the soul as well. In Judaism, there is room for reincarnation. Though most Jews don't think about reincarnation. It's not a regular part of their doctrine, but one can be a good practicing observant Jew and believe in reincarnation. There's no prohibition. In early Christianity, reincarnation was accepted widely. Many of the great fathers of the Christian tradition that are still recognized as the early fathers of Christianity, they accepted reincarnation. It was only during the time of Constantine, the emperor, when reincarnation was banned from Christianity. So since that time, reincarnation has not been acceptable in Orthodox Christian thought. But all three of those traditions believe that God created the soul. Whether there was reincarnation or not reincarnation, at some point there was no soul and God created the soul. And so God created the universe, God created the soul, And especially in the Islam and Christianity that don't believe in reincarnation, and for most Jews who don't even think in terms of reincarnation, though they could, it's natural for them to think that God created the soul. That is not true in any school of Vedanta. It's not true in Sankhya, it's not true in yoga, it's not true in any orthodox system of Hinduism. God didn't create the soul. Why? Because the soul, if it is eternal, of course, for the Mimamsakas, there's no question of creation because there's no God and there's no soul. And so there's no question of the soul being eternal. No, it's original materialism. You're just born, you die, have a good time as much as you can, have a good time while you're here, and then you die and you're gone because there's no soul. But if there is a soul, as other schools, all of the orthodox schools of Hinduism say, even Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsakas, if there is a soul, and if the soul lasts forever, it must last forever in the other direction also. That is, something that's comes into being, that's created, but then lasts forever. That's not in the nature of things. It's in the nature of things that anything which is created, it's destroyed as well. There's nothing which once born lasts forever. Not planets, not the sun, not mountains, not galaxies, not the universe itself. Something once born, it decays eventually, because that's the very nature of things. And so the soul, if there is a soul, and if the soul is going to last forever, it must have always existed. It always existed. It is eternal. It could not have had a birth. It could not have been created by God. So we, in that sense, were not created by God. Yes, out of God, this universe has come. And out of God, the appearance of jivas might have come. That is, the individual, in Hinduism, even that, the jiva is considered eternal as well. Not just because it's one with Brahman, but because it's consciousness, and consciousness can have no birth. And so the idea in all schools of Hinduism is that as far back as you look, you'll find that the soul, your soul, each soul, was pre-existing any point in time that you can look. Why? Because it's outside of time. It's outside of time. And so time can't bring it into existence. If something is created, it's created within time. If God created the soul, how did God create it? God had to create it within time, because otherwise you're talking about there was a point in time where God created the soul, and so that means it came about in time. And if it came about in time, it's not eternal, and it will disappear also. And so the jiva is eternal. And so when Sri Krishna says here, know it for certain that all things have these as their source. I am the origin and also the end of the whole universe. Yes, this universe has come out of Bhagavan. The bodies, the minds, everything that we experience has come out of Bhagavan. And our souls, in this sense, are part of Bhagavan, because God is the soul of all souls. The soul of all souls. The heart of every soul is God. God is what is called in technical Vedantic terminology, Sanskrit terminology, is the bimba, and we are the pratibimbas. We are the reflections, and God is the original. If you have buckets of water and you have the one sun, buckets of water, streams, lakes, pools, etc., in each one of them there's a reflection of the sun. But the sun is one. And so we are like the reflections in the bucket, with this exception. The reflection isn't really the sun. The reflection depends on the sun, but it's not really the sun. It's made by the sun's light falling on the water, but it's not really the sun. But we are really the bimba. We are the infinite consciousness itself. It's just that it's that consciousness caught within the buddhi, reflected within the buddhi, that has through ignorance, limited itself by identifying with the individual buddhi, the individual intellect. I don't like that translation because what we call intellect nowadays is not the buddhi, but the highest, the intuitive part of the mind. So that is not created by God, but that also is part of God. And so that also is part of God, that also has its source in the divine. Not in the sense of God created it at one time, it didn't exist, but in the sense that he is the original and we are the reflection. We are the limited images of that infinite reality. But if, again, language fails us here, because if we realize our true nature, we realize that limitation was an illusion. The limitation was itself an illusion, that I am one with the infinite reality. And so know it for certain that all things, sentient and insentient, have these, my lower prakriti and my higher prakriti, as their source. I am the origin as well as the end of the whole universe. Yes, this whole universe is the origin. And in that sense only, God is the origin of the soul also, because God is the soul of the soul. But the soul, again, has no beginning and no end. So then he goes on in verse 7, Mattah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. So this is a verse that Swami Vivekananda used to quote sometimes, especially when he was in California on his last trip to the West. So mattah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. So nothing, na kinchit asti. There is nothing, mattah parataram, higher than me. There's nothing higher than me, O Dhananjaya. Maya sarvamidam protam. Everything here is threaded on me. Sutre maniganayava, like pearls on a necklace. So I'm like the thread running through the pearls on a necklace. Everything here in this universe is threaded on me like pearls on a necklace, meaning that I am within all things. Now, Madhusudana goes to great lengths in here to show that this analogy was for the understanding of Arjuna, but it doesn't mean that he is something different from the pearls, because the analogy of pearls on a necklace, the pearls are one thing and the thread is something else. So that's not the purpose of the analogy which Sri Krishna is giving. He's giving the analogy to say that everything, that I am within everything. But as Madhusudana explains, I am in everything as the essence of everything. And that's what Sri Krishna will go on to say in this chapter in about 5 verses. He'll say, explain starting from the next verse. I think there are about 5 verses where he explains that he is the essence of everything. So as Madhusudana says, and as Vedanta often says in analogy, that another analogy is what Sri Krishna explains more accurately the situation of Sri Krishna and the universe. That is, if you have gold made into a necklace, into a bracelet, into a ring, into earrings, gold is the bracelet, gold is the earrings, gold is the rings and the etc. It's just taken on these different forms. But if you know the gold, you know the reality of those things. A bracelet without gold doesn't exist. Gold without a bracelet, it does exist. So the bracelet shape is completely dependent upon the gold. The gold has no dependence on the bracelet. A gold ring is nothing but gold, just taking a certain shape. If you melt it down, you still have the gold, but you don't have the ring. So the ring is completely dependent upon the gold, but the gold is not dependent upon the ring. And so Sri Krishna is the gold which has taken all of these forms without losing his own reality. It's not that Sri Krishna, or God, I should say, because Sri Krishna is speaking of himself as Bhagavan, as God, not as Sri Krishna born in Mathura, etc. That yes, Bhagavan was born as Sri Krishna, but he's not talking about his historical personhood. He's talking about his divine being. As that divine being, it's not that he, Sri Krishna, or Bhagavan, has become a stone, has become an elephant, has become a mouse. No. But if we know the mouse, the elephant, a rock, a blade of grass, if we know them in their truth, we'll see the rockness, the elephantness, the mouseness, the blade of grassness disappearing and the divine being shining through. That the reality of it is the Bhagavan himself. And so again, this all is strung on me as pearls on a necklace. This was an analogy used for Arjuna's easy understanding. But it shouldn't be understood to mean that the pearl is one thing and the string is a different thing. No, the pearls are strung on me in the sense that I am the reality within everything. Not in the sense that I'm inside things. There's the thing, there's the person, and I'm inside of the person as something separate. No, that I am the essence of everything. I am the reality of everything. If you look at anything in the universe with the mind sharpened by meditation, with sufficient power, you find that the form of the thing disappearing and the reality shining through. So then in verse 8 he goes on, Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayoh pranava sarva vedeshu shabda ke paurusham rishu. So here he begins to speak of himself as the essence of everything. He does much more of this in, I think it's chapter 9 or chapter 10. Chapter 9, it must be chapter 9. It's either 9 or 10, I forget now. Vibhuti Yogo Nama, that's chapter 10, I think. Yeah, chapter 10. So, but here in about 5 verses, he says the same thing, which he elaborates in much more extensively in after 3 more chapters. So, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, in water, I am raso, I am rasa, I am taste. I am the taste of water. As you know, in the 5 elements, the traditional 5 elements of earth, water, fire, air, and space, each of the elements pertains to one of the sense organs. And so water is a symbolic name given. It doesn't mean that it's actually water. It's a symbolic name given to the quality of taste, or the element of taste. That which is experienced as taste, that is the element of water. And so I am the taste of water. That is, water here, again, not referring to the water in the streams and rivers and the ocean and so forth, but water as an element. I am the taste within water itself. So I am the essence of it. Prabhasmi shashi suryayoh. And I am Prabha, the illumination of the moon and the sun. I am the illumination of the luminaries, the sun and the moon. The sun and moon, they give off light. They're that which illumines the earth. The sun by day and the moon by night gives light to the earth. And I am the light of those celestial bodies. I am the very luster of those celestial bodies. Pranava sarva vedeshu. I am Pranava, Omkara, among all of the Vedas. That is, the essence of the Vedas is Omkara. It's a wonderful thing that in that very ancient time, early time, that Omkara was discovered. Om was discovered and is at the heart of the Vedas. And so the Om is considered to be the very essence of the Vedas. All of the wisdom of the Vedas is contained within the syllable Om. All wisdom is contained within the syllable Om. So I am Om among all of the Vedas. That is, I am the essence of meaning. Om is meaning itself. Meaning itself. That's a strange concept, but if we can grasp it, it's a profound idea. That there is something called meaning. What is the meaning of this word? What is the meaning of this phrase? What is the meaning of this mathematical equation? What is the meaning of the birds chirping? What are they trying to say? What's the meaning of it? We have this idea of meaning in things. What's the meaning of my life? That everything has meaning. And we think in terms of different meanings. What the bird is trying to say, the pig is trying to say something else. The bird is chirping and the pig is oinking. And both of them mean something, but who knows what it is unless you're a great yogi, you don't know what it is, but they're saying they're different things. And the meaning of my life is one thing, the meaning of your life is another thing. But there's the idea that there is meaning itself. There's meaning itself. Not individualized meaning, the meaning itself. And so I, Sri Krishna, I, God, am meaning itself. Omkara is the essence of meaning, the experience of meaning. The experience of meaning is knowledge itself. And I, Sri Krishna, am that among all of the Vedas. Pranava sarva vedeshu shabda ke. In space, I am word, or I am sound. Here, sound would be better. Just as taste is the essence of the element water, so sound is the essence of the element of space. So again, as I explained in the last class, and a little bit in this class just a moment ago, the five elements pertain to the five senses. What is it that I see with the eye? That the ancient sages said that is Agni. They didn't mean that I see with the eye or fire, that I can strike a match and that's what I'm seeing, because I see all kinds of other things. Fire is one thing that I see, but I see many other things. No, fire was a symbolic name for the essence of everything that I see. The eye can only see one thing, and that is light. That's the only thing that the eye sees is light. I see color. I don't see anything but color. And what is color? Color is different interpretations of different wavelengths of light. So all that I can see is light. And that's what's meant by Agni. All that I taste many different things: salty, bitter, sweet, pungent, astringent, the five classic tastes. All of those are different types of taste. But water is the essence of all of those. All of those are all taste is categorized under water. What do I hear? I hear beautiful sounds, I hear noise, I hear ugly sounds, I hear music, I hear instruments, I hear singing, I hear children's voices, I hear someone screaming, so many different types of sound. But all that I hear is sound. All that I hear is sound. And so space, ka, is, or akasha, there are different words for it, is the essence of sound itself. All of the different sounds I hear, they can all be resolved into the element of space. And so with the tactile sense and smell for earth, etc. And so Shabda Ke, I am sound itself as the essence of space. The essence of space. And Paurusham Nrishu, and manliness in men. The quality of manliness in men. And though here it does use the male gender, it's Paurusham from Purusha, of course, man, and Rishu among men. So it's speaking of manhood among men, but it also means the humanity in human beings. It's not just a gendered term, not just referring to men. Or he could have said, I am the manhood in men and I'm the womanhood in women. But just as in English we use man both for the Purusha, the male part of the species, but we also use man as the general term as well. In other languages, it's similar. In Spanish and other languages, the same. And so in Sanskrit as well, it can be interpreted as the humanity within human beings. But it's also true, he's the manliness in men and he's the womanliness in women, as well as the humanity in human beings. In all of those ways, it's true. So the running translation given here is, O son of Kunti, Kaunteya, I am the taste of water, the rasa. I am the effulgence of the moon and the sun. I am Om in all the Vedas, the sound in space, and manhood in men. So what Sri Krishna is saying is that, again, he is the essence of everything, the essence of everything. He's in every particular in this universe, if you find its essence, that he is there. And so then he goes on in verse 9, Punyo gandha pritivyam cha tejas chasmi vibhavasau jivanam sarva bhuteshu tapas chasmi tapasvishu. Punyo gandha pritivyam cha. So in earth, that is in the element of earth, I am auspicious smell. I am the auspicious smell. So he's the essence of smell. The essence of smell itself. Within the element of earth, he is smell itself. Tejas chasmi vibhavaso. And within fire, he is the burning power, tejas. He is the, here it says the light and fire. And that, of course, that actually is a good interpretation, because he has been speaking of the elements. And so if he's speaking of fire as the element, that which we see through the eyes, then I am the light in the element fire. I am that which, the essence of the element of fire. Jivanam sarva bhuteshu. I am the quality of life in all beings. All living beings, I am the jivanam in every jiva. I'm the jivanam itself. I'm the quality of life within every being. So here we have to understand that Sri Krishna is speaking of his manifest being. His being, but his manifest being. There's his being as Brahman, which is beyond all quality, beyond all specification. There's nothing that can be said about that. But the same Bhagavan, who is the Nirguna Brahman, is also the Saguna Ishvara, the embodiment of all auspicious qualities. And this universe itself is the glory of God, the glory of the divine being. And so he is his manifest being is the essence of everything. The essence of everything. If we can go to the heart of everything, there we find that being illuminating. And so here's something that's very important to realize, where there's a striking difference between Hinduism and Buddhism. Buddhism is a great tradition, and many things that can be learned from Buddhism, but this is a striking difference between the two. You won't find this except in maybe the sayings of some great saints of Buddhism, but not in Orthodox Buddhist doctrine. In Buddhist doctrine, first of all, of course, there is no God, there's no soul. Though there also in Chinese Buddhism, there's some accommodations for that idea. But in general, in Orthodox Buddhism, no God, no soul. And in Mahayana Buddhism, the universe is, the nature of the universe is shunya. There's no essence to anything. No essence to anything. That's what shunyata means. Shunyata means emptiness, literally. And it means that everything is empty of essence. So there's no God, there's no soul, and nothing here has any essential being. And so if you realize the emptiness of everything, including the emptiness of yourself, your own self-being, then you attain to enlightenment. And as I've said before, the great weakness in that philosophy, the tremendous weakness which they've never been able to overcome, though they'll argue the point, of course, they have arguments, but still stepping back and looking at it, it's the fatal weakness within Buddhism, is that if I have no essence, if nothing has any no essence, if everything is empty, then who attains to enlightenment? Who is enlightened? The Buddhist will say, well, nobody is enlightened. There's just enlightenment. But then what is enlightenment? And what is my relationship to it? You said that Buddha attained to enlightenment. But there is no Buddha. There is no enlightenment because everything, including enlightenment, has no self nature. So everything falls into that. And of course, they'll give an answer to it, but it's ultimately unsatisfying. And so in Vedanta, there's the idea that the essential nature of everything is divine. And if I attain to enlightenment, yes, I realize that this body was an illusion. It was a dream. This mind was an illusion. My thoughts were just dreams. But I attained to illumination, realizing that I am the infinite reality. I, like Sri Krishna, am the essence of everything. I'm the essence of everything. The whole universe exists within me. It rests within me, within my consciousness. That every being will realize that. And so what is the connection then between me and the state of illumination? I realized who I really was. I am the eternal, the unchanging, infinite, unlimited being, infinitely blissful. And that is the essence of everything. And so I am the fragrant smell in earth. Oh, no, that's verse 9. So, oh no, I just hadn't come to the end of that. Yes, I am also the fragrant smell in earth. I am the light and fire and the life in all beings, the jivanam among all jivas. And then the last part of the verse, tapaschasmi tapasvishu, among the tapasvis, among those who practice austerity, I am the tapas itself. I am the spiritual fire among those who practice tapas. Why does one practice tapasya? One practices to generate heat. Tapas comes from tap dhatu, the root tap, which means to burn. And so one practices tapasya in order to generate spiritual power, to generate spiritual heat, to generate tejas. And so I am the tapas, I am the heat, or here it's translated as the austerity of the ascetics. I think heat would have been a better, their spiritual energy would have been a better translation, but whatever. I am also the fragrant smell in the earth. I am the light and fire and the life in all beings. And I am the austerity of the ascetics. So, well, let's go another one. Verse 10, he says, Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham. Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam. Know me, O Partha, to be the Bijam Sanatanam, the Sanatanam Bijam, the eternal seed, Sarva Bhutanam, of all beings. Know me to be the eternal seed of all beings. Again, in the sense that I explained before, that in no school of Hinduism is the soul created. The soul is uncreated. But that soul is of the nature of the divine. It's not separate from the divine. And so in that sense, God is the soul of every soul. God is the reality of every soul. Not in the sense that there was no soul and God created it out of something else. No, but in the sense that we are that same being, but limited by the mind and the power of Maya. So, Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam. Know me to be the eternal seed of all beings. Buddhir buddhimatam asmi. I am the intelligence of the intelligent, of those who are buddhimats, buddhimans. those who are endowed with the buddhi, with intelligence. I am the intelligence itself. I am the intelligence of the intelligent. Tejasvinamaham. And I am the, here he interprets it as the resoluteness of the resolute. So tejas can mean different things, but here he takes it, and that's a good meaning. Madhusudana takes it as the resolution of the resolute. That I am the resoluteness of the resolute. When you have a determination, you make a sankalpa, I'm going to do this, then I am the resoluteness of that resolution. Of the person who has made a resolution. I am the resoluteness, the quality of resoluteness. And then verse 11 says, Balam balavatam chaham kama raga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Balam balavatam chaham. And cha, aham, I am balam balavatam. I am the strength of the strong. I am the strength of the strong. Kama raga vivarjitam. Strength which is devoid of kama and the raga. Devoid of desire and attachment. Raga here meaning attachment. So I am the strength which is devoid of desire and attachment. That is, I am strength itself. The strength of many people, muscular strength and so forth, is displayed in out of kama and raga, out of desire and out of attachment. And so it will show that I'm strong. I can fight with anybody. I can beat anyone up. I can be aggressive. I can push people over. I can do what I want to do, get out of my way. But no, Sri Krishna, in order to show that I'm the pure quality of strength itself, that I am the strength of the strength of strength, which is devoid of attachment and hatred. But then he goes on, attachment and desire. But then he goes on in the second half to say, dharma viruddho, dharma aviruddha, bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshibha. Oh, bull among men, among the Bharatas, bull among the Bharatas. I am the dharma viruddha kama. I am the desire which is not contrary to dharma. I am that desire which is not contrary to dharma. So yes, in one sense, if he's going to say that he is desire itself, then he's all types of desire. And yes, that's true. He's the essence of desire itself. But he's giving here to Arjuna his essence in forms to be meditated upon. And so in order to meditate upon it, you take desire which is not contrary to dharma. Because if you meditate on desire which is contrary to dharma, then the mind is colored by that which is adharmic. And so that which is not contrary to dharma, like the desire to have a child, the desire to have legitimate property and so forth, the desire for legitimate enjoyment, those things which are not contrary to dharma, that I am that desire also. So I'm the strength, the essence of strength beyond attachment and desire, but I am also desire itself. But meditate on me as that desire which is not contrary to dharma. So we'll stop here. The verse 12, which we'll take up next time, that sort of finishes the topic, but I'll summarize that next time. And so let me see if there are one or two questions. Okay, we have, let me take Partha because you had the last question, and if we have time, we'll come back to Jayanta also. So Partha, and then if there's time, we'll come to Jayanta.
Maharaj, I'm trying to reconcile. You made a statement and while explaining that there is no beginning and end, right?
Of the jiva.
Right, of the jiva. And but we also come across the the word Srishtikarta.
Yeah.
the creator. So the way I am interpreting, and maybe is there's no beginning and end of the Brahman or the Jiva, but the God gives forms, different forms to human body or to the earth or to the lake or the mountains. Is that
Yes,
kind of
that's
where we are going?
Yes, yes. The whole
Thanks.
universe has come out of God.
Okay.
And so God's lower Prakriti, Sri Krishna's lower Prakriti, is all of this universe, including my body and mind. So if all of that has come out of the lower Prakriti, and my Jiva has come out of God's higher Prakriti, but not in the sense that he created it, but it is one with him. And so this, my Jivahood is God's also. In the same way, the Advaitins say, God is mine. I am God and God is mine, because there's no difference. And so in that sense, the Jiva also is from God, but not in the sense that God took something out here and made it into a Jiva. No, the Jiva is the very being of God. God is the soul of the soul. And so only in that sense, the soul is not created by God. The one other thing I should say about that, because this is a difficult topic. It's something that requires a lot of explanation and a lot of thinking to really understand deeply. But the Jiva, as Jiva, has an end. It's uncreated, but it has an end. That is, when I attain to full illumination, my Jivahood disappears. So what happens to this rule that everything that if something disappears, it must have been created in the beginning? No, what happens there is, when it said that my Jivahood disappears, I don't disappear. I just realize that the Jivahood was an illusion. And so I am who I always was. It's just my Jivahood which falls away. And so in that sense only, my Jivahood comes to an end, but I don't come to an end even then. I just go beyond illusion and realize that I always was the infinite being without any differentiation whatsoever. Now, Jayanta. Oh, yeah, he's bringing the microphone. Yes, there we go.
I think, as you said, very difficult to comprehend.
Yeah.
I have some confusion on number 4, 5.
Okay.
Versus this on Drigdisya Vivek on Slok 20. It says that Osti Bhati Priya Namarupaiti Angsa Panchagam.
Yeah.
Adatra Brahmarupam Tadadda Jagatrupam. How this, like there is 5 form that you are telling. First 3 is how that is coming with this Prakriti here on lower Prakriti and upper Prakriti.
Yes, yes. They're talking about the same thing from 2 different angles. If you go to take a pie, not mathematical pie, but an apple pie, you can cut it in various pieces. You can cut it into 4 pieces if you're hungry and you want a big piece of it. You can cut it into 8 pieces. If you have a lot of people to feed, you can cut it into 15 pieces or 16 pieces. Or you can even cut it into squares if you want to. So there are different ways of cutting a pie. And so when analyzing this infinitely complex universe, there are different ways of analyzing it into parts. And so Sri Krishna here is there's no contradiction between this and what the Dirghadrishya Viveka and other Vedantic texts say. They're just looking at it from a different standpoint. Here, Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna that you know the 5 elements because that's what you perceive, and you know that the elements of your mind, and so that is all my lower Prakriti. And then there's the Jiva, which is the conscious principle. So that includes everything. Again, no, he didn't go into the 24 cosmic principles, but he gave everything that's within our ordinary experience. And the other things are just the root causes of these things that he mentions. In the Drigdrishya Viveka, where it says that this whole universe is nothing but Nama, Rupa, Asti, Bhati, Priya. Those are the 5, everything in the universe can be reduced to these 5 things. So yes, this whole, he's not talking about sense experience, he's not talking about mental experience, the ahamkara and buddhi, none of that. He's talking just from the standpoint that whatever you see anywhere is nothing but nama rupa, name and form, like when you have waves on an ocean. The wave on an ocean, that's nothing but water. But water taking a form that we apply the name wave to. We say that's a wave. So here nama means not just the name wave, but nama means all of the verbal, mental thoughts we have about anything. So nama, the nama of this table is, in English is table, in other languages it's other words, but it doesn't mean just the word in a particular language. It means all of the verbal information I may have about this table, all of the thoughts I may have about this table, plus rupa, that which is perceived by the senses. And it doesn't mean just rupa, the form seen by the eye, but the information from all five senses. So everything in this universe is the information taken from the five senses, plus the mental thoughts about it. Just like the wave on the ocean is nothing but a form, and the idea of wave. Actually, it's nothing but water. When the wave subsides, there's not a cellophane bag that's left on top of the water that, oh, this was the wave, but all the water drained out. No, the wave was nothing but water. And so everything here is nothing but Brahman plus name and form. Whatever you see, human beings, chairs, tables, elephants, giraffes, mountains, planets, galaxies, is just that infinite Brahman taking the form and name. Form plus, that is that which we perceive through the senses, plus name, the ideas about it. And asti bhati priya, asti refers to beingness, that's sat. Bhati refers to manifesting, being made known, shining. That refers to chit. And priya, dearness, that refers to ananda. So nama rupa asti bhati priya means name and form plus satchidananda. Satchidananda in relative terms is called asti bhati priya. But it just means it's everything here is nothing but Satchidananda plus name and form, as the waves are nothing but water plus name and form. So time is way up now, so we'll stop here. I know it's still difficult, but that's the best we can do in short answer to, actually not such a short answer, but as short as I can make it. So let me give a closing chant and then I'll give announcements. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. That infinite being is full, perfect, and complete. This universe is full, perfect, and complete. From out of that fullness of that infinite being, the fullness of this universe has come. And yet that being remains ever the same. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all the beings of the universe. So now for announcements.